Hello students, so we meet again. This is the bio class for class 7 and today's topic, this will be the first topic of bio class for class 7 and today's topic is the tissue. Now before we go to the tissue, you have already learnt about the cell. In the previous class, you remember we have done the cell, that it is the basic unit of life. It's a bio class, so we are talking about all the living things and the life. So the cell, as we have learned, it is the basic building block or the structural and functional unit of life. So now cell for unicellular organisms, no problem. One cell will do all the functions, whether it is breathing or digestion or your reproduction, anything. But for us, what about us? We are multicellular organisms, so we have got so many cells in our body. So all these cells are doing their function. Each and individual cell is doing its function. But they are not doing the same function everywhere. Like the cells of the mouth or the cells of the stomach or the cells of the hand, each one will do the different function. Now how do we group them? How do we know which one is going to do what? This is what we are going to do in the tissue. Now what is a tissue? Let's say we are multicellular organisms. We have got so many different systems in our body. We have got digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, skeletal system, and each system is doing its own function, right? Like digestive system is responsible for digestion. We are taking food, it's going down to the stomach and different parts and digestion. Respiratory system, different function, different organs are there, like lungs there, we breathe in through nose, it goes to the lungs. We have got the sensory part of our body, the nervous system, which help us to receive the sensation we feel. So now each system, if you take separately now, is it made out of only one cell or many cells doing the same function all throughout? No. Each system again is divided into different organs. Let's take one system, digestive system. We have got mouth, then we have got the food pipe, then we have got the stomach, intestine, large intestine. So different organ is doing different function. The function that stomach is doing, the intestine will do the different function. So now each system also has got many organs, right? Now let's take one organ. So if you take one organ, let's take stomach. Is it made out of only one cell? No, stomach is not made out of one cell. It's made out of many cells. But then what is the speciality? All the cells that are doing the function or that they are in the stomach or they are making the organ stomach, they all will be structurally same and functionally also same. So what is the special thing about all the cells of the stomach? They are doing the same function and structurally also they are of the same origin, same structure. So from here we get the definition of the tissue. So what is a tissue? Tissue is actually a group of cells. One cell, we know its individual structural and function, but the tissue is group of cells. That's the difference between cell and tissue. Tissue is made out of many cells, but the special point, first point is, all of them are made out of the similar structure and they're all specialized to do the same function. That is what is a tissue. So let's write it on the board. What is a tissue? We get the definition of the tissue. Tissue is a group of cells specialized to do the same function. Just let's, for example, a group of students who are studying medicine. What do we call them? Doctors. So that means doctors are what? A group of people. But what are they specialized at? Doing the same function. They are dealing with the medicine and the medical purposes. So same way, group of cells which are specialized to do the same function. That's a very important thing. Our tissue, I'm not saying tissues, I'm saying our tissue is made out of group of cells which are structurally also same and functionally also they are the same. Clear? Now, living things, you know, they are divided into two groups, plants and animals. So obviously you have studied plant cell and animal cell. So tissues also we'll have different types of plant tissues and animal tissues. So today's concept, today we are going to start the lesson with the plant tissue. We'll finish the plant tissue first, then we'll do the animal tissue. I'll rub this off. So our today's topic is plant tissue. Now obviously plant tissue is made out of plant cells, all the plant cells. Now you have seen a plant body. It's got roots, it's got stem, leaf, branches, flowers, all are different parts doing the different function. So naturally, all the plant cells, though they may be similar, but doing the different functions, naturally they'll be specialized to do the different functions. So same way, we will see how the plant tissue is classified into different groups. First one, basically, plant tissue is divided into two groups, and this division is based on one very important function, that is cell division. One very important function, cell division. Depending on this property, plant tissue basically divided into two groups. The first one is called meristematic tissue, and second one is called permanent tissue. Meristematic and permanent. Meristematic capable of cell division, and permanent incapable of cell division. That means meristematic tissues can divide and they make new cells, whereas the permanent tissues cannot divide, they are incapable of cell division. Now let's do one at a time. First let's take the meristematic tissue. A small diagram I've drawn for you. Now what type of cells will make the meristematic tissue? All of you are familiar with plant cell. You know the characteristic features of plant cell. Now here these cells which make the meristematic tissue, they are thin-walled, full of protoplasm and a big nucleus. They do not have any vacuole. Vacuole, which is a very typical characteristic feature of the plant cell, but the cells which make the meristematic tissue, they do not have the vacuole. Why? Because for the function of cell division. These cells are repeatedly dividing and redividing and making new cells. Naturally, they need more of cytoplasm, so they have the whole plant, the cell body is full of cytoplasm and they have a big nucleus. No vacuole here. They are very closely packed. Can you see them? no intercellular space in between. They are very closely packed. And naturally, if they are doing the cell division, what will be the function? Function will be the growth. So obviously, if they are dividing, making new cells and helping it to grow, the plant to grow, in which region of the plant body will they be present? Can you guess? Yes, they will be present in all the growing region, that is the tip of the root, tip of the shoot, the nodes and the tip of the branches, where in the plant body we see growing. Those are the points, the growing regions where the tissue is present. So first we have done the structure of the meristematic tissue. We'll repeat it again. Thin-walled cells, very closely packed. First point, I'll write it for you. Thin-walled, closely packed. What do you mean by closely packed? No intercellular spaces. They are one attached to the other. And vacuole absent, full of protoplasm found in the growing region. And the most important thing, the function is cell division. Clear? That's the basic meristematic tissue. And these meristematic tissue depends on which part of the plant they are present. If they are present at the tip of the shoot, root or the branches, they are called apical meristem. And if they are present in the nodes from where the branches or the leaves are coming out, they are called the lateral. So from the name only you can make out either it will be apical meristem or lateral meristem. Now apical meristem will help the plant to grow in length, upwards the shoot and the downwards, and the lateral will help them to grow in the width, that is sideways the branches, and it will help them to grow in the girth. So this is meristematic tissue. Now we come to the permanent tissue. Now we have already said they are incapable. Then what happens? How are they formed? So it's the most important thing you have to remember. As the meristematic tissues are dividing and redividing, making new cells, some of the meristematic tissues are becoming older or not. As they're dividing, new part is being formed. So the older meristematic tissue, when they lose the power of cell division, then they come back where they make the permanent region of the plant. It's very interesting. So which tissues make the permanent tissue? The cells which have lost the power of cell division, right? So which tissues rather we call it permanent tissue? The tissue, the meristematic tissue, the older ones which have lost the power of cell division, they make the permanent part of the plant body. Most part of the plant body is made by the permanent tissue, excepting the growing region which is made out of the meristematic tissue. Now, according to the structure, according to the location, according to the function, we can divide them into different groups. Now let's see what are the different groups. Parenchyma, please children learn the spellings clearly. Parenchyma, C-H-Y-M-A, parenchyma. Sclerenchyma, Sclerenchyma. This is one type of permanent tissue. Permanent tissue is further divided into another one. When I rub it, I'll put it there. complex, and this is your simple. So, because there is less space, I will write it later on. Now that means permanent tissue again subdivided into two parts. What are the two parts? Simple permanent and complex permanent. The simple and complex, from the name only you can make out, these tissues, the parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, they are made out of similar cells. When the cells are of the same type, same structure, same origin, they make the simple permanent tissue. And complex means, from the name only you can make out, that means the cells are different. But remember, a tissue means specialized to do the same function. That means though the cells may be different in their structure, but functionally they are specialized to do the same function. So we'll come to it later on. So here the three types of simple permanent tissue. What are they? Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Now let's see. This is the nucleus and vacuole. Vacuole, the prominent characteristic feature of plant cell. If you notice, I didn't draw vacuole here. No vacuole. But here, these are round or oval shaped structure. As you can see, very loosely arranged. Thin walled. They have got a big vacuole. They have got nucleus. Typical characteristic features of the plant cell. And they make, the most important thing is they make bulk of the plant body. The potato that we eat, the cells are all of the parenchyma tissue. So they make the main part of the plant body, and these are the cells which also store food for the plant. Like potato, it stores food, but it stores food for the plant also. So why we call them simple? Because all the cells are alike. Thin-walled, loosely arranged, I'll write it for you. Thin wall cells, loosely arranged, makes the most part of the plant body. And also store food. So parenchyma, first type. Second one is the collenchyma. Collenchyma cells, if you draw, they may be elongated, may be round shaped, but the difference between parenchyma and collenchyma is they are thick-walled. They are thin-walled with intercellular spaces, but they are thick-walled, specially thickened along the corners. So they don't show any intercellular spaces as such. This is how we draw the collenchyma cells. Can you see all the intercellular spaces are filled up with the shade? That means they are thick walls, specially thickened around the corners. Now, if they are thick, but the other things are all same, nucleus and everything will be there, typical plant cell characteristic feature. But if they are thick walled, obviously what will be the function? They provide support to the plant. They provide mechanical support, like the midrib or the especially the part of the main branch below the this bark of the tree. These collenchyma cells are present during the stormy day. Too much of wind blowing. You have seen the branches swaying, but they don't break easily. Why? What is supporting them from inside? These collenchyma cells providing support because they are thick walled, they can withstand the pressure. So what do we write here? Thick walled, no intercellular space, And third point, provide mechanical support. So the difference between the two, thin-walled, thick-walled, they make the bulk of the plant body and store food, and they provide mechanical support. But if you can notice, all the cells that we have drawn, because they belong to the simple permanent group, all the cells are similar in structure as well as in function. The third one, very interesting, Sclerenchyma, most important thing about it, dead cells. The cells, as they mature, they lose that protoplasm, it dries up and they become dead. So these are all living cells, whereas Sclerenchyma tissue is made out of dead cells, provide support, same, stronger, and especially you have seen the hard covering of the seeds. You have seen the coconut, right? Not the green coconut, even the green coconut, but when it dries up, have you seen those fibers, brown fibers? These are all Sclerenchyma cells, dead cells of Sclerenchyma making the thing. So this is about the simple permanent tissue, parenchyma, collenchyma, Sclerenchyma. Parenchyma, see the points, collenchyma, see the points, Sclerenchyma, see the points. And both of them thick-walled, I can draw it for you, there is no space, like this only, thick wall providing support, but only difference is that this is living and the other one is dead, right? Now parenchyma here, one more point I would like to add, I'll rub it off, there's no space, so I'll rub it off here. Two exceptions. What are the two exceptions? Leaf. What is the color of the leaf? Green. White is green. What makes the leaf green? Can it say? Pigment. Name of the pigment, you have learnt it earlier. Remember? Yes, chlorophyll. So the chlorophyll present in the parenchyma cells of the leaves, that is the chloroplast. You know the plastic chloroplast. So the parenchyma in the leaf, because they specially have the chloroplast or the chlorophyll, they are given a separate name. They are called it's very easy to remember, Sclerenchyma. The this chloro has come from the chlorophyll. So parenchyma with chlorophyll, what are they called? Sclerenchyma. Why? Because they contain chlorophyll, the chloroplast, and the function, you know, photosynthesis you have already done. And the second one, in the aquatic plants, which are submerged in the water, which are floating, in their tissue they have got the air cavities, air pockets. So those are called I can just write simple, roots of floating plants. So one is Erenchyma, one is Sclerenchyma. Both belong to the group basically parenchyma, but only with chlorophyll and with air cavities. That is a special thing. So for today, I think this is enough. We'll continue next day. Any problem?